neutral zone down the middle. If you are a character that would be pro-industrialization, come on over to this side of the room. If you are a person, a character that would be anti-industrialization, come on over to this side of the room. Sit near your partner so that you can help each other out, and you can take all your things with you. All right, once you get to your spot, then look up here. I'll give you some coaching and tips. I'm going to turn you loose, see what you got. Okay, so essentially here's how this is going to work. Alex, you need a chair? Yeah. Okay, since this is our first time experiencing a debate situation like this, we will have a couple of these throughout the year. Let me kind of tell you how this is going to work. Is anybody familiar with parliamentary procedure, what that means or how that works? Can you give us a little description on it? Go ahead, Lexi.
The two groups, like one group will be called by the judge to give their piece, and then once they sit down, the judge will choose another person to speak.
Okay, good. Yeah, essentially that's how it's going to work. Instead of using the word judge, I'm going to use like moderator. Usually there'll be a moderator of the debate, but that's essentially exactly how it works. The topic is given, and people will raise their hands if they wish to speak. If you are acknowledged by the moderator, which in this case is me, I'll call on you. You'll stand up. You'll make your point, and then you'll kind of just say like thank you at the end of your time talking or something like that, just so I know that you're done speaking, and I don't go ahead and pick somebody else while you're still trying to make your point. So just kind of make it clear that you're done talking. Sit back down. And then I'll go on to somebody else. I'll pick somebody out. Now, sometimes I may follow up your point with somebody else that's actually on your side, or I might go to the other side to kind of have a rebuttal to your point. It all depends. And I'm going to make sure that everybody gets equal time to speak as well. So I'll make sure to shuffle it up on who's talking. I won't keep going back and forth between the same people. Okay? So what you should be doing at your seat when you are not speaking, on the back of your essay, take down notes of things that people are saying as the debate is going. That way you have things to respond to when it's your time to speak. Because, for example, Anna might say something that I want to respond to, but I might not get called on for like another 6 turns. So when it's my turn to speak, I want to have it in writing so I haven't forgotten what I want to say to her. So usually when you're acknowledged and it's your time to start talking, you should start with something like, in response to what Anna said about the growing number of diseases that were present on the streets of the new cities, I'd like to say this actually presented an opportunity for doctors to improve their technology to treat these diseases. Okay, and that could be your point. You want to lead in with what you're responding to. Or you may be adding on to a point somebody on your team has already made. So like, for example, Danielle has said something that I want to strengthen. Let's say she makes a point about how railroads have created new jobs because people are needed to work on the railroad and engineer the trains. I could stand up and say, I would like to add on to Danielle's point by saying that railroads not only increase jobs for people working on the railroad, but they also created new jobs for people in mines that had to provide the coal to operate the locomotive. Okay? See how that works? Okay. So you're going to be graded on 2 parts for this project. The first part of your project is going to be the position paper that you have already written and done your research on. Okay, so that's your first 20 points will be graded on your position paper and what you have already written. The second 20 points are going to be how you conduct yourself during the debate. So here's what I'll be looking for on those 20 points. Make sure you are not speaking out of turn. If somebody says something that you strongly disagree with or you strongly agree with, don't just start shouting things out. Okay, wait till you're acknowledged. Make sure that you are following along, not just sitting there daydreaming. Make sure you're following along in the debate. Make sure you're taking notes as it goes. So when I collect your essays back to put the points into Power School, I'll be looking at the back of the essay to make sure that you've taken some notes and you've kind of followed along and you're organizing your thoughts. Okay? The final thing that I'll be looking for is I'm going to be keeping track of how much you're actually getting involved in the debate. I need to hear from you at least a couple times during the session. And again, I will make sure that it gets completely divided up. No one person will speak more than everybody else. Okay, I'll make sure it gets divided up. Okay, questions? Anything I'm not explaining clearly enough? All right, who would like to make an opening statement to kind of get the ball rolling here? We'll volunteer somebody else. Lexi, you want to start it?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, as an engineer on the Manchester-Liverpool Railroad, I believe that the Industrial Revolution is a good thing because it provides jobs. It's advancing our world for a better future with a lot more prosperity than we've been used to. Yeah. Like
Okay.
that.
Go ahead, Carter.
Said Alexi, it may be helping you with your railroad, but how is the Industrial Revolution helping me after I lost my farm and I don't have a job? How am I supposed to make a living for myself with nothing?
Make sure you say who you are.
I'm a unemployed unemployed farmer, and I hope to become a factory worker. Thank you.
Okay, others wishing to speak? Go ahead, Colin.
I am a slave, and while progress came for many people, progress wasn't made for my people, and slavery grew by about 70% in 40 years. And also, we were treated more harshly because while you have the cotton gin to improve the output of cotton, more or less have to work in the fields and in hot conditions where we are malnutrition.
Okay, thank you. Speak, go ahead, Claire.
Going on from Colin's point, I don't think you can necessarily blame slavery like all on industrialization because there were slaves before and there were slaves post-industrialization, and just like the hard work during industrialization of the slaves, it like made your ancestors have a better life because obviously we don't have slavery anymore across the country or across the world. So industrialization eventually led up to the freedom of the people. Thank you.
Go ahead, Anna.
I'm going back to Lexi. I'm a homeless person, so I can't get a job because the employers were taking children and women more often than the men because they could pay them less and because working conditions were so bad and children were small, so they could fix things better.
Good. Alex, go ahead.
Segueing back to Colin's point, the working conditions for slaves actually got a little bit better because you have the tools for interchangeable parts and manufacturing, allowing them to actually use tools when they're picking cotton and stuff like this, making the job easier because before those tools had to be handmade, and if they broke, they were broken and you had to do it by hand. So.
Okay. Tim.
I can see how much easier my job gets when I get whipped constantly. That obviously makes it more comfortable, more enjoyable, easier. And these tools that you speak of, these tools, while they were made, that means that, whoa, we can get more money if we just force our slaves to work harder. So they forced us to work harder, they beat us, we're We don't have enough food, we don't have enough shelter, we don't have clothing. It's just all around bad. Obviously. Thank you very much.
Now, based on what you're saying, I'm kind of inferring and assuming who you are.
I am a slave
Okay.
on a wealthy landowner's plantation,
Okay, so make sure to lead in with that if you're gonna share a
beaten
personal story.
constantly.
Excellent personal story. Okay. Others wishing to speak. Morgan, go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to what Carter said about not having opportunity, about how it only helped us. Well, since you're unemployed now, there's so many more jobs you could choose from because of industrialization. You can become like a railroad worker, you could go in the mines, you could work in a factory like you said you want to. You can work on the farm if you really want to. If you want to remain a farmer, you can go do that.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Carter.
Okay, as again, I'm a unemployed worker because my tenant farmer, or the person who bought my land and made it an enclosure did not allow me to become a tenant farmer. Only the lucky ones could stay farmers. And also, you said I could have a variety of jobs. I'd rather be a farmer and do what I did my entire life than have to change to something else that's dangerous and a lot more risk of death. Thank you.
Go ahead, Claire.
Going off of Carter, I don't think, I mean, there were like so many other jobs that you could choose from, like there were manufacturing cities and port cities like popping up all the time, and if you are unemployed and you're struggling to make ends meet, and I don't think you'd be so picky about being like just a farmer. You could be a factory worker, you could be a dock worker. I'm a dock worker at the Liverpool port, and there's plenty of jobs there popping up at new ports every day. Thank you.
Okay, wishing to speak. Nolan, go ahead.
Going off what Claire said, also with Carter, it's not like people were dying every day. When you said it's such a dangerous job, people didn't die every day. Like maybe 3 deaths like a year. It wasn't that extreme.
Go ahead, Bridget.
In response to what Carter said, I'm a fisherman. And I was curious how like working in a factory is, and like say having a mistake go wrong with the machines and dying, and you say your risk of death is a lot better than like starving because you refuse to work and help the process of industrialization. And I do agree with Claire that you did have a choice, like protesting and just not working isn't really good for you. You could at least help the cause a little bit by helping out.
Wishing to speak. Carter, go ahead.
I have lots of things. Okay. First off, Nolan, you're saying that those 3 deaths don't matter at all because there's only 3 of them? Well, those are, hey. Well, those are deaths that matter to me. That could have been my father, or my uncle, or my best friend. And also, with Bridget, you were saying how I'm not protesting. I can't get a job because all of the factory workers are giving all of the jobs to children and women because they're easier to pay. And I can't put my hands in the small machinery. And what Claire said, with working in a variety of jobs, and why am I protesting? I'm not protesting, but why would I help the cause that took me out of my life and made me unemployed? Thank you.
Okay, good. Wishing to speak. Alex, go ahead.
As a rebuttal, I'd just like to say that, do you think before the industrialization, say you were branded a heretic or banished from the land, that you could get a job somewhere else? It's just, after the Industrial Revolution, it just made it a lot easier because there were so many options and so many jobs available. Before the industrialization, there was just being a farmer. And if you get branded a heretic or banished, you're probably not going to become a farmer anywhere else because no other person's going to trust you. Thank you.
Okay, wishing to speak. Danielle, go ahead.
Okay, Carter said, like, why would you help the cause? So that you can live your life. You can't go without it. You can't just say, oh, I can't be a farmer, just not do anything. Industrial Revolution gave hope for all those opportunities. And although it spread quickly, really quickly to us and really slow to you, it did help eventually. Very eventually though.
Okay. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, you just said how it helped spread hope to people. That I, a slave on plantation, it did not spread hope to me. I was being forced to work just as long, even though I could get, sure, the cotton gin came along, I could get more done, but that didn't make my hours any less. I had to work just as long. It decreased my hope, basically. I mean, I was being forced into a house with extremely overcrowded conditions. Didn't increase hope. It may have increased hope for some, but not for everybody at all. Thank you.
Okay, we should speak. Hope.
With or without the Industrial Revolution, we still would have been working on a plantation today. And the Industrial Revolution tried to make your guys' jobs easier.
Do you have an example?
Like with the cotton gin, I like to help you guys instead of picking through the cotton, your machine.
Nicely done. Wishing to speak, Sarah.
Going against hope, even though, I'm a factory worker, I'm a child laborer, and even though it made the slave lives easier, if the Industrial Revolution hadn't been started, I would not have been working in the factories. So it's bad because I could have been at home just helping my family out, but because of it, my hope is lost and I have to work in the factories.
Okay, wishing to speak. Stephanie.
In response to what Nolan said about how 3 people die each year, the chart that Mr. Schofield showed us was the population went down almost 2% when industrialization occurred, and 3 people is not 2% of the population. Thank you.
Go ahead, Claire.
I have 2 points. One about slavery and then time, because the slaves should have felt when you're working, you should think oh, there's all these new machines and techniques and stuff popping up now. So maybe one day you'll be free and machines can just take over our jobs. And then also for Sarah, when you said you're a child laborer, no one necessarily said you had to work in a factory or had to work at all. You could have been home with your family if you wanted to.
Okay, I'm going to take 2 more speakers from each side. The last speaker from each side is going to be somebody that wants to volunteer to kind of wrap their entire group's argument together in about 30 seconds. Okay? So if you want to be the last speaker, put your hand down now. If you just want to make a point, hand up. Colin, go ahead.
I just want to make a point to clear hope with the whole cotton gin, just because it didn't really give us hope because we still had to go out in the fields to get more cotton to produce, and mainly just made the owners of the plantation being to sell more cotton, so they gained more wealth, while we gained more work, and just kept on going. And with what you said about how the expansion of slavery led to the freedom of my people, well, it didn't really do that because it would have just, without it, it would have just been fought more over time. So, thank you.
Okay, point. Alex, go ahead.
Oh, can I just reply to him?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I would just like to state that being a slave always sucks, no matter the time period or the conditions. It doesn't necessarily get that much worse. It doesn't get that much better for a long time. So, can't really complain that much. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm looking for people to tie their team's arguments together. Carter and then Lexi, you'll have last word.
Can I go last?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, be a factory worker or a slave or an unemployed person.
Hold on, don't put anything away yet. Keep everything out
It's
because I'm going to
supposed
collect
to
it.
be okay by politicians and philosophers because there has to be a permanent lower class for the rich people to stay rich. But maybe if we tried something else like communism where everyone's equal, we wouldn't be dying while you guys have all the money and can buy things. Industrialization caused our downfall from our farms, but if we go in our next era, if we go into communism, maybe it could be equal for all.
Lexi, you ready?
Yep. I'd like to start off that there's a lot of complaining about the Industrial Revolution, and there's so much complaining going on that the people who are against it aren't having enough time to appreciate the good things that came out of it. Because if you think about it today, there are laws that came from the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution is good because it gave more jobs. Many people that were employed. It did go down a bit, and there were more jobs that you could take. Like there was a bigger boom in industries, and they gained more profit, and then they could afford to hire more people. They could afford that, and more people would get hired. And
Couple more seconds.
then everyone just kind of, there's too much negativity about it.
Okay. All right, here's what I want you to do on your way out. As your exit slip, I'll be at the door. You're going to give your essay back to me so that I can give you the second half of your grade and I can check your notes. At the bottom of your essay where you took your notes during the debate, give me 2 things, 2 points that the opposite side that you wrote your position paper on would argue. So give me 2 points that you learned from the other side of the debate. Does that make sense? Can I explain that okay? Give me 2. If you were pro-industrialization, give me 2 anti-industrialization points. If you were anti-industrialization, give me 2 pro-industrialization points. And then you'll hand me your paper on the way out, and I'll get your points into Power School.
Thanks, John.
And keep the child labor laws of Ohio. That will be one of your class handouts. Okay, so hang on to that.
Honestly, if you ask everybody about slavery, they'll say it was bad. I'm kidding. I hate to say it, slavery between. It's hard to argue. Yeah, because the fucking lower states were slavery. I ended up going south. Dude, why isn't Texas their own country? Seriously. No, I'm saying now. Like, what would make it in the United States Okay, so on John Stewart, the people that you vote for, I get congressional.
All right, see you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Hand your paper on the way out.
The Republicans have designed it in such a way that they ended up about like 50 people or so. No,
Have a good rest of the day. See ya.
90% of them were
Bye, guys. See ya. It comes out right at this time.
Mr. Schofield, so many people mentioned after industrialization.
Today mine was so bad.
All right, see ya. Have a good rest of the day. Good job. Yeah, see ya. See ya.
Fishing,
Mr. Schofield?
I had all the trains, we had no time to just discuss all the things.
I don't want to make it late. You have lunch or something? Okay, I can check out real quick if you want. Or we can do it tomorrow, your choice. Okay. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Bye, Bridget.
Can I stop this now?
Yeah.